And I will not cut our military budget by $1 trillion, which is the combination of the budget cuts that the president has, as well as the sequestration cuts. That, in my view, is making our future less certain and less secure.
Bob, I just need to comment on this. First of all, the sequester is not something that I proposed. It's something that Congress has proposed. It will not happen.
Back with the Roundtable, George Will, Ruth Marcus from the Washington Post, former Romney senior advisor Stuart Stevens, former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, and Democratic Congressman Joaquín Castro. Thank you all for joining us. George, the bottom line, these sequester cuts obviously are going to happen, and then we're going to have a battle over the government shutdown, debt ceiling. Where does this all end?
It doesn't end. This is democratic politics in an age when we have made promises we can't keep, and there are intractable budget ceilings that we have to bump up again. Let me give you two examples this week. The Navy, citing the sequester, delayed the deployment of the aircraft carrier Truman, undermining our pledge to have 2 carrier groups in the Persian Gulf to keep pressure on Iran, citing the sequester. You telling me the Navy can't find other ways to economize without this flamboyant and provocative way of trying to pressure Congress? Second, this week we learned that the Agriculture Department has a diversity awareness program, doesn't cost much money, in which they teach the bureaucrats in the Agriculture Department to refer to the pilgrims as illegal aliens and minorities as emerging majorities. It's a small amount of money, but a huge symptom of the utter contempt with which Washington treats taxpayers' money. 2 good reasons right there to go ahead with the sequester.
Mr. Speaker, are these being exaggerated? These the doom and gloom?
Yeah,
what
grossly.
would happen?
Of
Grossly.
course. Look, this is a government so bloated, so wasteful, and so incompetent that actually this is the equivalent of a recession. And recessions, you know, Jack Welch made the point the other day, any corporation that couldn't cut 2.3% of its gross spending would get rid of its CEO. This is not an Obama comment. This is a Congress plus Obama comment. The Pentagon needs a thorough overhaul. I helped found the Military Reform Caucus in '81. I'm a hawk, but I'm a cheap hawk. You look at the F-35 overrun problem, it is obscene and disgraceful, and people should be demanding that we fix the system. One other example. You just learned that one of the great solar power green energy projects was $140 million for a company in Michigan which has produced 0 product, 0, for $140 million. Why shouldn't the American people say, cut out the waste?
Congressman?
And Jonathan, and the fact is that the president and the Democrats believe that we can make cuts and that we can reduce the debt, but that it's got to be balanced. So I think we all agree on where we need to end up. It's a matter of how you get there. And just to counter a little bit about what George said, the fact is this was never the president's idea. This was the result of hostage politics engaged in by a Tea Party-controlled Republican Party, and this is what you have. This is the mess that you have when you get into those kind of hostage politics.
Ruth, does it matter whose idea it was?
It doesn't matter whose idea it was. What matters is that the unthinkable is now inevitable. I'm going to give you my modest proposal for this sequester, which is we should take the relevant members of Congress and the administration, put them on that stinky cruise ship, and send them back out there. But I want to say that the notion that there is government waste, there is more waste to cut. The absolute worst way to cut it is in the across the board unthinking mechanism of the sequester. And second, the impact of the sequester is bigger than it would appear if you just take it as a percentage of the budget as a whole.
Because they're not touching entitlements.
It doesn't touch most entitlements. So it hits 2 things very hard. It hits domestic spending, which has already shrunken as the size of the economy to the levels of the Eisenhower administration, and it hits defense spending effectively because you're cramming it all into 7 months, 9% of domestic spending, 13% cut in defense spending. That's not smart government.
And Stuart, that's a big hit on the Pentagon. I mean, we all know there's some waste over there, but that's a big hit immediately.
Yeah, but Jonathan, you opened the show correctly with the most powerful person in the world saying it wasn't going to happen. I can't believe, given his extraordinary communication powers, that he can't get people together, talk to the country, and solve this problem. It doesn't look like he's really trying very hard. I mean, it's just not the top item on his agenda. And he's made that clear.
So you're endorsing the cruise ship idea? I
like the cruise ship idea, particularly if it can maybe come close to being hit by a meteorite, because then it would be...
we can bring it all together.
Yeah, it would be just a huge cable bonanza. But this is just, it's a test of leadership. I mean, this is why we have in our system a president. He's a leader. He's got to lead us through this crisis. And it's just not happening.
All right, we have to take a very quick break.